Pursuant to notice, I now call up H.R. 533, promoting a resolution to the Tibet-China Conflict Act. The bill was circulated in advance, and the clerk shall designate the bill.
H.R. 533, to amend the Tibetan Policy Act of 2002, to modify certain provisions of that act, be it enacted by the Senate and the House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled, Section 1, short title. This act may be cited as the promoting of resolution to the Tibetan-China Conflict Act. Section 2, findings.
Without objection, first reading is dispensed with. The bill is considered read and open to amendment at any point. Without objection, the Meeks Amendment, number 50, in the nature of a substitute circulated to members in advance, shall be considered as read and will be treated as original text for purposes of the amendment. I now recognize myself in support of this bill. First of all, I want to thank those who have attended that represent the great Tibetan people, the nation that's been oppressed for so many years by the Chinese Communist Party. We welcome you, and we're so glad that we've come to this great day where this committee will pass and move out of this committee this Tibetan resolution that will go to the House floor, pass, and I predict will pass the Senate and be signed into law. And thank you so much for being here. The world is no stranger to the CCP's aggression and excessive claims, and nobody knows that more than the Tibetan people. From ramming Philippine boats to killing Australian servicemen to claiming ownership over Taiwan, the CCP seeks to dominate the entire Indo-Pacific. The CCP has a long and violent record of oppression against the people of Tibet. In October of 1950, Chinese communist troops annexed Tibet, killing tens of thousands of Tibetans and monks. The CCP's ongoing oppression of the people of Tibet ultimately forced the Dalai Lama to flee to India. This persecution has continued to this day. Just last week, the CCP released a white paper on its policies in Tibet. In this document, the party doubles down on its oppression and crackdown on the religious and economic freedom of Tibetan people. Some of the actions taken by the CCP include setting up boarding schools to, quote, re-educate Tibetan children, clamping down on the use of Tibetan language, restricting movement of Tibetans, and even attempting to insert themselves into the succession of the Dalai Lama. Well, thank God the Dalai Lama said that the new Dalai Lama, who will be reborn, will not be born in China. This white paper demonstrates the need for this bill, and I'm proud to have co-introduced it with Representative McGovern. The promoting a resolution to the Tibet-China Dispute Act helps Tibetans in two major ways. First, it pushes back against CCP propaganda about the history of Tibet. The United States has never accepted that, quote, Tibet was part of China since ancient times, unquote, as the CCP falsely claims. This legislation clarifies U.S. policy, highlights the unique language, religion, and culture of the Tibetan people, and directs U.S. diplomacy to push back against CCP propaganda. Additionally, it ensures Tibetans have a say in their own future, not the CCP. This bill stresses the need for a dialogue between the CCP and the democratically elected leaders of Tibet. Any resolution must include the wishes and the voice of the Tibetan people. Tibetans are a democracy-loving people who wish to practice their own religion freely and have their own wishes and desires acknowledged, as we do in the United States of America. The freedoms that we enjoy, we want to be enjoyed by the people of Tibet. So I'm proud to have played a very small role in part in supporting this dream for the Tibetan people. I want to thank you for being here today. I hope you can be here when it passes on the House floor. I encourage you to relay my best wishes to the Dalai Lama, and I encourage all my colleagues to push back against the crackdown of religious and ethnic minorities like the Tibetan people and vote in favor of this bill. And I also want to thank my good friend again, Mr. Meeks, for working with me to get to this point where we are today. And with that, I recognize the ranking member, Mr. Meeks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And before I get started on my remarks, I just want to welcome a new member to our committee, Gabe Amo from Rhode Island, won a special election and has been here. This is his first full committee meeting. He is an individual that is going to add a lot to our committee in the same spirit of what we work in a bipartisan way. He comes well-equipped. He'll sit on all of the subcommittees of which David Cicilline, his predecessor, sat on previously. And I think that you'll find that he will be a huge addition to our committee and working together. And so, Gabe, welcome to the House Foreign Affairs Committee. I want to also, as Chairman McCall, welcome the Tibetan people for being here for this long-awaited bill to pass. And like the chairman have said, who's been working on this for a long time, along with Mr. McGovern, that we want to make sure that the message is clear when we talk about freeing people from oppression. And so welcome to the House Foreign Affairs Committee and welcome to the United States House of Representatives. Please send our greetings back to the Dalai Lama. You know, I support this bill that Representative Jim McGovern and Chairman McCall has put forward because for far too long, Beijing has repressed the Tibetan people and shirked its commitments to work with the Dalai Lama and his representatives to resolve the Tibet question through dialogue. I am deeply concerned by the ongoing effort by Beijing to dilute the distinct religious, cultural, linguistic, and historical identity of the Tibetan people. For example, Beijing is shutting down local schools in Tibetan areas and replacing them with centralized Chinese boarding schools that separate children from their families and communities. Multiple UN special rapporteurs have raised concerns about this forced assimilation, warning that the residential school system appears to, and I quote, appears to act as a mandatory large-scale program intended to assimilate Tibetans into majority Han culture, contrary to international human rights standards, unquote. And while Beijing is engaged in these tactics to suppress Tibetan culture, it has propagated a disinformation campaign about Tibet and its history. And contrary to its commitments, the People's Republic of China has not engaged in a formal dialogue on the Tibet question with the Dalai Lama since 2010. H.R. 533 calls Beijing out on its campaign of repression and its neglect of the aspiration of the Tibetan people. It aims to raise awareness about the suppression of Tibetan identity, language, and culture and counter the PRC's disinformation efforts aimed at undermining the Tibetan people's aspirations. It reinforces U.S. support for the Tibetan people and calls for a meaningful dialogue between the PRC and Tibetan representatives to reach a negotiated solution on the question of Tibet. Importantly, the bill also amends the Tibetan Policy Act of 2002 by strengthening U.S. public diplomacy efforts countering PRC's disinformation about Tibet. This is an important and very timely measure, and I want to thank Representative McGovern and Chairman McCall for introducing it and for being a long-term champion of the Tibetan people. I also want to thank Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi for her support of this bill and for her long principled conviction to hold the PRC accountable for its human rights violations. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I urge all of my colleagues to join me in supporting this measure, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Joan yields. Is there any further discussion on the bill? Mr. Perry's, I'm sorry, Mr. Smith is recognized.
Very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do rise in strong support of H.R. 533, I should say. And I want to thank Jim McGovern, who is a good friend, you, for sponsoring it, and Mr. Meeks for the amendment in nature of a substitute. And I'm very proud to be one of the co-sponsors of the bill. Tibetan people today face new and worsening challenges from the Chinese Communist Party and their repressive rule. Threats to Tibet's linguistic, religious, and cultural heritage has expanded exponentially in recent years, and now an estimated 80% of all children in the Tibet Autonomous Region are separated from their families and educated in a massive system of colonial boarding schools, a deeply troubling fact about the Chinese Communist Party's efforts to forcibly assimilate non-Han ethnic and religious groups. They are trying to change radically how those young children think about their lives and about their culture and about their faith. In recent years, Chinese police in Tibet have conducted mass DNA collection and iris scanning programs in wide swatches of Tibetan society, including in monasteries and primary schools, a sinister endeavor to harvest biometric data, and one which implicates an American company, Thermo Fisher Scientific. Amid these threats to Tibetans in Tibet, the Chinese Communist Party also seeks to extend its repressive reach abroad, targeting for surveillance and harassment the Tibetan diaspora communities in the United States, India, and in Nepal. The Chinese Communist Party has long engaged in crimes against humanity in Tibet and against Tibetans. I have chaired multiple hearings with my good friend McGovern and on my subcommittee and also on the China Commission. We held one last March, and the title was Preserving Tibet, Combating Cultural Erasure, Forced Assimilation, and Transnational Repression, which featured the Sikyong, the head of the Tibetan government in exile, as well as Richard Gere. At least let me tell you, there was no one more passionate and articulate in anywhere in the world than Richard Gere for many, many, many years. Countering disinformation and addressing intimidation of Tibetans, transnational repression, thankfully, is a priority of this committee, and I thank you for that, Mr. Chairman. This bill authorizes the State Department to take actions to counter Chinese Communist propaganda directed against Tibet, including about Tibet's history and institutions, and for that reason alone, it should be supported. But during a month when the Atheist Communist Party claims that the Dalai Lama cannot recognize a successor without their approval, this bill is timely and sends the right message that this Congress stands with the Tibetan people and their struggle for freedom and fundamental human rights. And again, I want to thank those who are here today on behalf of the community for their leadership as well. I yield back.
Is there any further discussion on the bill? Mr. Colley is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to join in thanking the authors of this bill for bringing it forward. I led the first congressional staff del to Tibet in 1986, and we could witness and did the systematic destruction of Tibetan culture, even though we were under the watchful eyes of handlers from Beijing. Monks at monasteries would come up to us once they knew we weren't Russian and would tell us about the suppression, about the torture, about imprisonment, about the destruction of cultural treasures in Tibet, all designed to impose the Han culture on Tibet. There was also and has been a systematic attempt by the Chinese to repopulate Tibet so that it loses its Tibetan heritage, culture, and distinct identity. A few years ago, I had the privilege of meeting with the Dalai Lama in Dharamsala, and to see the conditions the Tibetan leadership is sort of forced to live with in exile because the Han forcibly move them out. Tibet is a distinct culture. It has a distinct identity. I hope someday they'll be able to achieve that distinction with their own independence and autonomy. But I think this bill is an important statement by the Congress, and I'm so pleased to want to vote for it. So thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to my colleagues for bringing it forward. I yield back.
Gentleman yields. I thank you as well. Is there any further discussion on the bill? Mr. Perry is recognized.
I thank the chairman and thank look, miracles never cease. Me and Chairman McGovern on the same side of an issue. It's awesome when that bipartisanship can happen, as the former chairman of this committee also knows. I would say this: I am supportive of this bill, and I appreciate the constant pressure against the Communist Party of China. But I would also say that I would like to see it be much stronger. I think that we ought to open an embassy in Lhasa. I think we ought to recognize the government, the legitimate Tibetan government in exile, and let the Chinese Communist Party know where America truly stands, and that we do not accept what they're doing in Tibet and to the Tibetan people. And not only do we not accept it, we're willing to do something about it. The tough rhetoric is nice, and it is helpful, but it is not enough. And so I hope this is just the beginning and not nearly the end of what we do in regard to supporting the people of Tibet and being opposed to the oppression and the dictatorial measures of the Communist Party of China. And with that, I yield the balance, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman yields. Any further discussion on the bill? Yeah. The gentleman's recognized from South Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Chairman Mike McCall and Ranking Member Greg Meeks, thank you for bringing this important bipartisan measures that are coming up today before the Foreign Affairs Committee. And I want to especially welcome Congressman Gabe Imo of Rhode Island with his Liberian heritage. I'm grateful with Ranking Member Greg Meeks. We all share a South Carolina heritage. All of the legislation before the committee today covers important policy that has a direct impact on American citizens. I'm grateful to be a co-sponsor with Chairman Jim McGovern and Chairman Mike McCall for promoting a resolution on the Tibet-China Conflict Act. This bill pushes for a conversation and resolution to the decades-long illegal occupation of Tibet by the Chinese Communist Party. The Chinese Communist Party dictatorship oppresses the people of China. I personally appreciate the people of China, as my father, First Lieutenant Hugh Wilson, served in the 14th Air Force Flying Tigers, the U.S. Army Air Corps, in World War II, to liberate the people of China as he served in Xi'an, Chengdu, and Kunming. The Dalai Lama has pushed for peace since the 1950 illegal invasion of the sovereign nation of Tibet by dictator Mao Zedong. China proved their intent for not only territorial annexation, but for the greater genocide of Tibetans with the kidnapping of the Panchen Lama at 6 years old, just 3 days after being named to the role in 1995. China has continued their cultural genocide, announcing Tibet does not exist, and pushing for the false name of Xizang. I agree very much with my colleague, Congressman Scott Perry, that this should be the beginning of passage of legislation to stand up for the people of Tibet and stand against the Chinese Communist Party genocide in Tibet. This is, again, just as false of what the Chinese Communist Party is doing today, that Tibet does not exist, as we hear that the 24 million people of Taiwan don't exist either. We should be working together as we face the threats of the dictatorial Chinese Communist Party. I yield back.
Gentleman yields. Any further discussion on the bill? There being no further discussion, the committee will move to consideration of amendments. Does any member wish to offer an amendment? There being no amendments, I move the committee report H.R. 533 as amended to the House with a favorable recommendation. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the motion is agreed to. Without objection, the motion reconsiders laid on the table. Staff is authorized to make any technical and conforming changes.